When unkind offenders receive instant karma in court, they don't change. Killers like Danta Wright are always taught a lesson in respect, especially when it happens in a courtroom. Here we have top 6 arrogant convicts that got instant karma in court. Number 6. Danta Wright. In October 2016, in Michigan, Wright and 2 other criminals, who were also teenagers, attempted to murder Rob Clay at gunpoint. Although Clay must have tried to resist, he was discovered where the gunshot wound was. It was a tragic event because it appeared that Clay was a top student and had to lose his life to 3 others, his age, who had nothing to live for. Danta Wright was Jordan after being detained and given a different trial from the other 2. Wright admitted to carrying out the shooting. However, he was unable to let the situation rest easy for long because he had to agitate the entire courtroom when the victims were testifying. Hoverboard 2016. At the age of 18. More than that, I've lost love and fun. Before the statement, Wright was about to offer a plea bargain for the confession. But once Clay's mother began speaking, he became very upset, and Wright revealed his true nature, demonstrating that the criminal he had no future because of his ingrained instincts, which kept him grinning, smirking, and practically laughing the entire time. Number 5. Jordan Wright. Jordan's options were limited. He was given a sentence of 23 to 50 years for armed robberies and felony firearm possession, and finally he traded in his graduation cap and gown for a prison uniform. The judge became enraged with Wright's attitude and threatened to revoke his plea deal, even though Lee's family had accepted it. I'm tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial, and if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there. The insanity began in 2017 when McCarty had some reservations about a custody case he was involved in. Rather than filing for an appeal or speaking with his attorney, he decided it would be a good idea to call the Volusia County Sheriff's Office and inform them he was about to commit a crime, threatening the building with a gun and threatening to execute the judge who had ruled against him in the custody case. Antics were nothing compared to Alan McCarty, who seemed to have no idea how powerful judges and courts are, as he hurled threats and slurs left and right. Unaware of how simple it would be to identify McCarty, Stasha Warren had him arrested and placed on trial right away. However, this is when things went south, as McCarty proceeded to make ludicrous threats in court, shouting obscenities and insulting the judge. It is clear that he was taken outside the courtroom by force, and it is very commendable that the security guards didn't slap him across the face as he was yelling. This is likely the easiest guilty verdict in the county's history to prove. McCarty was sentenced to 29 years in prison for making threats to kill the judge. He also received additional time for contempt of court charges. It's amazing how all of this could have been avoided if he had just kept his mouth shut. Understandably, he lost the custody case, but sometimes criminals just make things worse for themselves. Number 4. Michael Ray. One such example is Michael Ray, who appeared in court on 4 charges, but was left with 10. This court heckler was supposed to get an average bond hearing, but when he heard his bond was $25,000, he began to laugh and made everything look so much worse than the $25,000 forecast. You might find that funny, but the judge seemed to be more of a thug than the actual thug, so he gave him an extra $25,000, which is okay. So bond is $50,000, and nobody else, when he really should have stopped there and counted his losses. Sometimes a runny mouth can get you into more trouble, and a gun done yet okay. Because of 2 EPOs he's done, we bring him back. Ray insisted on getting into this fight with the law that he really couldn't win and threatened the judge and even insulted the officer next to him. It was just trying to help what was holding me in. The judge had had enough of this nonsense and got him back in court for contempt and gave him 100 days in jail. There are currently 10 charges against Ray. Number 3. Tobias Roman. Not only did Michael Ray's words get him into more problems, but our next offender, Tobias Roman, too, looked to have lost his mind in his cell before appearing in court, threatening to kill the judge. Tobias was in court for several felonies, including stalking and threatening a mall employee with a knife. However, from the beginning, Tobias was not going to have this case closed quickly. He refused to stand up, had an odd demeanor, and was defensive when the judge referred to him as Giggles, his street name. What a fitting name, though, because this man turned out to be a real Joker type who threatened to kill the judge if he saw him outside. You can tell that the judge was taken aback but unfazed, asking that this threat be noted in the transcript and accusing Tobias of robbery, terrorist threats, displaying a deadly weapon, stalking, and threatening the Supreme Court judge. If only these criminals knew that they wouldn't get away with it like they would have with their high school teacher. Some of the criminals maintained some composure, such as Milton Watts, who appeared to be going through an existential crisis in court and swore loudly. However, some went completely crazy, such as the man who said on the record that he would murder me if he saw me again and asked law enforcement to take the necessary action. You wish to aim for 90. Number 2. Milton Watts. Watts was in court for missing a scheduled court date on an unidentified charge. He was supposed to be here last month, but he did not show up. Why weren't you here? Although the case could have ended at bail, Watts decided it would be a good idea to argue with someone powerful enough to have him spend a year in prison. Watts first casually waved off the question of why he was in court, citing work or a family emergency. When the judge asked him to hire a new attorney because he had backed off the case, Watts chose to throw away his life, declaring that he didn't care. This brief exchange led to a swearing fit, during which the judge continued to add 30 days of contempt. You would think he would have stopped at 6 months, but he went ahead and did not. You, Milton, stop. How many days do you want to give me now? Are you sure you're counting? I've been in contempt for almost a year now, so he has mental health issues and is at home. Watts appeared to be suddenly reevaluating his life choices after his outburst, including his work at McDonald's. What did McDonald's ever do to him? Well, those orders will have to wait at least a year as they don't make Big Macs in prison. Everyone was imploring him to stop. Not every outburst was related to minor court missing cases. Some were caused by real monsters, such as Number 1. Daryl Brooks. Brooks, who terrorized Waukesha, Wisconsin, in November 2021 during a Christmas parade. In this terrifying scene, Brooks drove his Ford Escape through the parade, killing 6 and injuring 62. The entire city was in shock following the attack, but justice was swift, and Brooks was taken into custody that same night. However, things didn't go as planned, as Brooks became a tyrant during his court appearances, yelling loudly in court and refusing to comply with the judge, jury, and witnesses over every little thing. It didn't help that he was representing himself, either, saying things like, "Oh, it was already written from day one was gonna happen that it doesn't make me lose any sleep." Not all judges, however, are as composed and calm as the one in Brooks' case, as evidenced by the judge's outburst in Cameo Gant's case, where the defendant used duct tape to intimidate the witness. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.